Many, many winters ago, there lived a young man who had learned the secrets of plant and animal lore. He knew which plants and herbs cured illness, which could be used to purify the body and spirit, and which could help the people see more clearly their thoughts and dreams. He came to be known as the first medicine man. Medicine Man loved a young girl named Clay Pot Woman, and she loved him. She chose him as her husband, and they were married in a ceremony witnessed by the entire village. They built their grass house outside the village near the river. One winter, Clay Pot Woman was going to have a baby, but she grew ill, and the birth of the baby was difficult for her. The medicine man was very afraid for Clay Pot Woman, so medicine man went out and gathered all the good herbs and plants to make the strongest medicine he could for both the body and the spirit. He made a drink from some of the herbs. He burned some of the plants in the fire and made a good smell to purify the air in the grass house. Other plants, and he placed the head of Clay Pot Woman's bedding to give her a spirit and comfort and length and strength. After a difficult birth, Clay Pot Woman presented Medicine Man with his newborn son. Medicine Man gathered up all the herbs and what was left over in the drink, the dirty bedding with all the things left over from the birth, and threw them in the middle pile where garbage and broken pots were thrown. The medicine mixed with the things left over from the birth, and a magic event occurred. Up from the maddened pile sprang another baby boy, larger than the one inside the grass house. Because the medicine was so strong, the second baby born was larger and seemed older already. And according to Indian custom, that would make him the older brother. Because he was not born in the grass house, he ran away into the forest and grew up with the wild animals. Many winters came and went, and the young boy born in the hut grew. Medicine Man and Clay Pot Woman loved him and taught him well. He was known as the boyhood name, but he looked forward to the day when he would be a hunter and a warrior and earn for himself a manhood name. For that day, Medicine Man made the boy a strong bow and many straight arrows, and the boy spent many happy days practicing his bowmanship. One day in summer, Medicine Man went out to hunt, and Clay Pot Woman took one of her pots to the nearby river to get water for the day. The boy played in the bare yard that his people always cleared around their grass houses. The mothers did not return. As the shadows of evening grew long across the grass house, she did not return as the sun went down behind the trees. Medicine Man came home, but Clay Pot Woman did not. Fearing for his wife's safety, Medicine Man took his son with him to the river's edge. There they saw the footprints of Clay Pot Woman. They saw her pot laying broken on the river bank. 2 sets of footprints. One went into the river, but no footprints came back out. Medicine Man knelt in the clay at the river's edge and wept. The ogres from across the river came and taken her away, he said. The tribe of creatures that lives there eats the people of ours for supper. My wife, your mother, she is gone forever. The boy knelt and wept with his father. Medicine Man and his son went back to the grass house and built a fire and stayed inside, and they mourned for 6 days. On the 7th, with all their food gone, Medicine Man prepared to go hunting again. The next morning he said goodbye to the boy and told him to stay near the clearing that was their yard, near the protection of the village. Medicine Man promised to return before sundown. The boy played in the yard as usual and shot his arrows into the wooden target. Suddenly, when the sun was high in the sky, another boy stepped out of the forest and greeted him. The older boy was taller and stronger and appeared older than the younger son of the medicine man, but he resembled their father very much. And he looked very much like the younger brother, like the boy's reflection in the water. The wild boy had a nose just a bit too long, like the animal's snout, and his hair was long and unkempt. He wore no clothing at all, but he spoke gently, and the 2 boys played together. They laughed and joked and shot the bow in turn, each turn trying to get better than the other. They became friends very fast. At last, the wild boy revealed his secret. Little do you know, I am your older brother, he said. I am born out of Father's magic, but you must not tell Father about me, because I choose to live in the forest. As the sun was setting, the wild boy left quickly. Medicine Man came home with game for supper. For 4 days it was the same. Each day, Medicine Man left the grass house to hunt or to go into the village, and the wild boy came, and the twin brothers played together. At sunset, the wild boy left, saying, "You must not tell father about me. I choose to live in the forest." Each night, missing the companionship of his newfound brother, the younger son moped around the grass house and stared vacantly into the fire. His father noticed and asked what was troubling him. The boy, who had never lied to his father, told him about the wild boy. "We must capture him," said Medicine Man joyfully, "and bring him into our house to become part of our family. When you see him tomorrow, walk to him and pretend that you see a little bug crawling in his long hair. Tell him that you will remove the bug, but instead tie 4 knots in the hank of his hair. By this magic, we will capture him and bring him into our family. I will transform myself into a flying insect and hide in the grass nearby." The next day, Medicine Man became an insect and sat on a blade of grass at the edge of the yard. The wild boy came. "Where's our father?" he asked suspiciously. "Well, he's not here," said the younger brother. For in fact, their father was not present in his usual form. "Then who is the man on the blade of grass?" asked the wild boy, and then he ran into the forest. 4 more times they tried to fool the wild boy. Medicine Man became a bird, he became a dog, he even became a crawling bug and hid behind the fire. Every time the wild boy saw him. Finally, the father told the younger brother, "Today, I must go hunting, but if your brothers should come, try to tie the magic knots anyway." Medicine Man took his bow and arrows and left the grass house, but a short walk away from the yard, he stopped and hung his weapon on a tree limb. He transformed himself into an insect and returned to the yard without the younger son's knowledge. The wild boy came again. "Where's our father?" he asked. "Well, he's not here." The young village boy was unaware that the father's presence. The wild boy smiled, came into the yard, and they played together. "Brother," said the village boy, "you have a bug in your hair. I will take it out." With that, he tied 4 knots in the hank of the long hair. Just then, Medicine Man became himself again, and he and the village boy took the wild boy by the arms and led them into the grass house. Medicine Man took a sharp shell and snipped off the excess nose from the wild boy, and cut his hair like the boys of the village wore it. He gave the wild boy a robe made of buffalo calfskin to wear. Later, their father gave the boy supper, and while they ate, he went for his bow and arrows. When he returned to show the wild boy that he was welcome into the family, Medicine Man presented him with a very special arrow, blackened from the smoke of the herbs burned in the medicine fire. To show his love for his younger son as well, Medicine Man gave him a blue arrow to the younger boy, painted with the juice and oil of many medicinal plants. The wild boy, now dressed and behaving as a proper village brother should, cut bark from an elm tree and made a wheel of bark for the 2 boys to shoot at. They painted the target in the 2 colors, black and blue. They spent many hours happy in target practice, sometimes rolling the wheel of bark along the ground to test their skill with a moving target. One day the wheel rolled into the forest without either boy hitting it. Where they took and they looked, and it was gone. "Someone was there watching us," said the wild boy. "He has taken our target wheel." The twin brothers grew stronger and taller as the winters came and went, and the 3 were very happy as a family. One day in the spring, while their father was away for many days, the wild boy said to the village boy, "The time has come for us to take on our manhood names. Let us go on a long journey, brother." Each took his own bow made from the wood of the boy's deark tree, and his arrows and parched corn to eat for the journey. The wild boy also carried his black arrow, a special gift from their father. The twin young men walked into the path deep into the forest along the river. The wild boy led the way, and they left the path to go into the dense woods. There they met a great squirrel, larger than a dog, who was a friend of the wild boy. The great squirrel gave the twins 2 pecans that had unusual power within them. The great squirrel told the wild boy, "This is many friends in the forest remembering you," and they missed him. This gift was remembrance from the animals and the birds that are deep in the woods who were his family. When night came, the twins made camp and planted one of the pecans in the soft earth. When they awoke the next morning, a great pecan tree had grown overnight. It was so tall that its upper branches were among the clouds, up into the world of dreams. The wild boy explained to his younger brother, "The great Father above has special gifts to give us as he reached manhood. He promised me the gifts when I was a very little boy living in the forest. Now I will climb high in the tree and see a vision, a dream. All my bones will drop out of my body and fall to the ground. The head bone will fall last of all. You will think that I am dead, but I will not be so. Take my bones and put them in a pile, with the head bone on top. Cover the pile with my buffalo calf robe, and shoot a black arrow into the air. Then, just as we did when we played together, and we shot arrows into the air, watch them turn and fall to the earth. Call out to me, 'Look, brother,' for the arrow is coming straight toward you." The younger boy was afraid, as to look up as the wild boy climbed, and just as he said, soon the bones would begin to fall, and the head bone was last of all. The village boy gathered the bones, covered them, and shot his arrow. He called out, "Look out, brother, for the arrow is coming straight for you." The wild boy ran out from under the calf robe, whole and healthy as ever, just before the arrow struck the buffalo hide. "Now," said the older brother, "you must climb up and see your vision, your dream, and receive the powers the great Father above has reserved for you. I shall do as you did for me, and we will meet here below afterwards." The village boy was fearful as he climbed into the clouds, but soon he felt warm and comfortable, as if he were asleep. Then he saw a vision of power. He felt no pain as he fell out of the cloud and struck the earth. But he did hear his brother call out to him, and he ran out from under the buffalo robe, whole and healthy as ever. The arrow struck the hide and trembled upright. "What gift did you receive?" asked the older brother. "Listen," said the younger brother, delighted, and he opened his mouth and spoke a word that rumbled like an earthquake and echoed off all the trees and rocks. "Wow, brother, we will call you by the name Thunder," said the older brother. "What powers did you receive?" asked Thunder. "Look," said the older boy, and he opened his mouth and spoke a word and lashed out of his mouth like snake's tongue and flashed like the flames reaching across the sky. "We will call you the name Lightning," said Thunder. The long day was ending, but strengthened by their new powers and their new manhood names, Lightning and Thunder walked together to the edge of the great river. They also ran past their village. As they lay down to sleep for the night, they planted the second pecan. By daybreak, when they awoke, another great pecan tree had grown overnight. Its long branches drooped across the river, giving them a way to pass over. Lightning and Thunder climbed up the second great pecan tree and walked down its drooping branches to the opposite side of the river. There, after walking only a short distance, they came to the village of ogres, creatures that ate the people for supper. They saw piles of bones here and there and in the grass. "Look," cried Lightning, pointing out a pile of bones. "There are the bones of our mother." How he knew this, Thunder could not imagine, but he trusted his brother's wisdom. Quickly they piled all the bones in a heap, and head bone last of all. They put the buffalo robe over the bones, and Lightning shot a black arrow into the air. "Look, mother," called Thunder, "for the arrow was coming toward you." The black arrow flew higher and higher into the sky, shot by the great length of Lightning could gather. It turned slowly and fell to the earth faster and faster, and suddenly Clay Pot Woman ran out from under the robe, and the black arrow struck the ground so hard that it pierced deep into the calf robe and shattered it into splinters. Despite the many years she had been gone from the young people, Clay Pot Woman knew both her sons. The moment she saw them, they embraced and they wept tears of happiness. Just as they hugged each other, the great chief of ogres came from the grass house nearby. He was very ugly and very cruel. As he approached, Thunder drew his blue arrow and notched it with the bowstring. As the ogre chieftain drew closer, the brothers saw he was wearing their target wheel as an ornament on the right side. By this, they knew he was the ogre that had crossed the river, that had watched them and had taken their mother so long before. Taking aim at Ogre's side, Thunder sent the blue arrow at its target, and the great beast man fell dead. Before the rest of the ogre village was aroused, the three people ran back to the pecan branch and crossed the river. As they were on the branch, the first of the ogre warriors came running out of the village and came at the people, throwing spears. Thunder turned back and spoke his word, and a great roaring rumbled across the water, and frightened the ogres from ever coming across the river. Once Thunder had helped their mother down the tree trunk, Lightning turned back, and he spoke his word. A great white bolt of lightning ripped out of his mouth and split the great pecan tree, so that it drooped, the branches fell into the river, and they washed away. No people would cross the river to the land of the ogres out of curiosity from this point on. Soon, the three people were back in the village. They came into the grass house and greeted the medicine man. He embraced them all, and they were once a family again. They lived happy for many years. But finally, one day, the medicine man, being old and having lived a good life, he passed quietly. And Claypot Woman, she did not stay long in this world without her husband. She soon had passed also. Lightning and Thunder now were grown men. They took the bones of their mother and father, and they wrapped them in buffalo robes, and they buried them in bundles as their people had always done. They no longer wanted to be in this world, so Thunder and Lightning went back to the first path they had traveled many years before. They climbed up the first great pecan tree and stepped off into the clouds. The old tree fell away beneath them, and it became a long log into the forest. Thunder and Lightning lived thereafter in the sky and came and went with the wind and storms. The people below looked up and remembered. When they gather around the fires at night, they told the wonderful story of the twin brothers and how Thunder and Lightning came to be.